So is it?
There it is.
Okay, yeah. So
Did I take it down?
we got Zoe.
You say make that sound?
Okay, we're gonna call the meeting to order at 4 o'clock. We stand for the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
To the
flag
flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice.
Okay, the only people that we have on Zoom is Councilperson Anthony Gucciardi. And this is the first time that we're using the new thing for both recording, live streaming, and video conferencing. So if anybody wants to come in, they can watch it from home. They can see that upper screen and everything that we see right there. So, and you'll see that the camera, if you speak, that camera will come towards your voice and your voice, and you'll pick up your voice recognition and it'll go right to your spot. So.
And in the public to be heard section, anybody at home would have the opportunity to basically raise their hand and get acknowledged to speak from home.
Okay. It's a fairly light agenda for resolutions, but I'm sure there'll be some heavy topics going on. So can I get a motion for the agenda for today?
Well, second.
So it's Fred and then Mike second. Any additions to the agenda? Anybody would like to add?
We'll talk about my communication under communications.
Yep. And then so hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Next thing is the approval of the town board minutes from the January 13th meeting. Could I get a motion for discussion?
So moved. Second.
First by Mike, second by Fred. Any additions or corrections to the minutes on January 13th?
I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I didn't get I checked, I didn't get anything from you this go round at all.
Really? Yeah, yesterday I sent in the minutes.
Yeah, I didn't get anything for some reason, but.
It's all in one batch. Did you get it?
Yeah,
Oh, everybody's in one batch
Yeah, I
though.
don't know why. It must have filtered it out on my end. I
It
just,
must
yeah,
have.
I'm sure I'm on your list. I'm
Well,
sure
you
I'm on
are.
more than one of your
It's
lists.
the same list. It's the same batch. It's a batch with all
Yeah.
board members for 2022.
We'll send a
Okay.
test out and see if he gets it.
Yeah, and we could try it later, but
Okay,
I'm good for now.
okay. The next thing is.
Did we vote on the?
Is there all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, public to be heard. Anybody from the public that wants to be heard, please stand, say your name and address for the record, and then we can go to the podium.
Pat McQueenie, I live on 22 Green Lake Turn. I just purchased the property. I had a house built about land from Tom Donovan. There's a drainage pipe in the back of all the houses back there. And the way it looks, I was told that the town, the people had to buy the pipe, but the town put it in. Now, the pipe that's in my backyard doesn't have an open grate in it, but Tom's has one, but it's like 3 or 4 inches higher, so water isn't rolling up into it. Water's just kind of skimming past it, coming out of the woods and down my property. But when they put the pipe on my side, it looks like they just put it almost on top of the ground. They didn't put it down deep enough and they didn't put a grate in it. So now I actually had to skim the whole top of it off. So when we were having those flood rains, I had to have, so I could get water to go in it. So it would go down the pipe and then down to the open ditch. Now, my question is the town responsible for that pipe?
I don't, well, I do not believe, good question. I don't know enough about it at this point without doing some research, because I don't know whose property it's on. and what the previous agreement was, because if it, we'd have to look at the deed to see if it's on town property or personal property. If it's on personal, if it's on a town right away, normally what we do is, in town right away, it's supposed to be an open ditch. And if residents had requested to put a ditch in, they would pay for the material and that they would install it. You know, that's what we do for people in front of the houses. But but then it would be ours to maintain, I believe, just to maintain it so that it's clear and working properly. As far as grading and getting water to it, that would probably not be the town's responsibility. I can have our attorney.
Yeah, I could look at the subdivision map and I can look at your survey and see if any easement shown to the town.
All right.
Okay.
So we, I will have Rick do the research.
Okay.
He can, that would be a Bob Bruno
Yeah,
situation.
I've kind of talked to Bob in the past about it.
Yep.
And my thing is, I have okay, not enough pitch. I'm trying to get water to stay away from my house.
Yep.
I mean, it's far away, but I also want to have a yard that I can cut grass, and I don't want flooded waters coming down in the yard all the time. I'd rather be going into the pipe.
Yep.
And going down into the open ditch where the town of Owasco is.
Yeah,
I know
so,
these guys are all cleaning behind there now.
Yep.
But that's because I'm still working on my backyard to get grass in it.
How long has it been in?
We've only been in the house a year.
How long, and so the pipe's only been in less?
No, the pipe, I can't tell you how long the pipe is.
Well,
That was Tom Donovan.
yeah,
We
I
own
was
the
on the,
property.
I was on the board. It was in before I was on the board.
Yeah.
I've been on there for 14 years. So it was before my time. So it was probably when it was developed. So,
Tom thinks the town put that pipe in.
He said that he paid for the pipe. He told me everybody behind there paid for the pipe, but the town put it in.
it had to be under Mike Wilson's regime, right? Bob, you didn't do it.
No, I think that it's on Sam Basil's property. Remember when Basil was trying to sell, he was gonna try to sell it, he was trying to get every individual homeowner to buy a piece of that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
So
remember.
let's
You gotta
look, let's
check
get
the
the
survey
facts.
on that.
Let's get the facts and Rick, how long would that take you to do that? So we can give him an answer.
By Monday at the latest.
Okay, so we'll get
All right.
back to you.
Yeah.
You know,
The only other one question I had, and I
Yep.
talked to Bob and Jason about it. The left side of my house is the town of Owasco's, and it's forever wet, I believe.
Yep.
My question to these guys was before, the trees that are already dead there, will they get rid of those trees? I'm afraid some of those trees, some of them have already fallen, and I don't want them coming hitting my house.
that would be, if you put us on notice, we'll have to do something about it. If it's gonna endanger your property.
Yeah, that's the only thing, I mean, nothing's fallen and hit the house before, but I have seen some of them come down, and that's the only thing, and I know there's a lot of dead ones over there.
Okay,
I would suggest that you just, even just an email to add something in writing about the concern about the trees. That way we've got a track that you.
Okay,
On a town parcel? Next to you?
yeah, it's part of, it's a green space that when Dickman built that, it's a forever green.
Yeah.
And it's used for drainage easement, and it's there, and so it can never be built on, and I don't know what else. It is part of the abstract and deed for that. So I know exactly which one it
Yeah.
is.
and that's all I got.
Okay,
Okay.
that's all you're allowed. All right, thanks. Anybody else from the public that would like to be heard? Okay. Next thing on the agenda, we'll go to communications. First thing on the communications is we got a letter, a request letter that I sent everybody from the Purple Lancers Drum and Bugle Corps to use the shelter to offer free music lessons for students from grades 5 to 12. This request would be for approximately 8 weeks from June 27th to July 28th. 2 mornings a week from 9 to 11:30, depending on demand. So I see here we have 2 representatives from the Purple Answers, you would like to say a few things and why and, no,
Hi.
we don't know
My
why,
name's
but
Andrea Verbillis. I live here in the town of Owasco, and this is Stephen Taylor. He's the director of the Purple Answers. The music programs in the schools due to COVID and Zoom lessons and everything, those kids lost an awful lot of time. And this would be open to band and orchestra students, free lessons for any kid involved in the music program in the Auburn City School District. We're doing them outside because of concerns for COVID. We would have little pop-up tents if the weather was bad. We would provide, all I need is just the space for the kid to come and sit for half an hour to do their music lesson, and then we go on to the next student. There'd be no charge for any student that was involved with, that wanted to do these. We would compensate the educators. And the one thing that this would provide, which has been a thorn in my side forever, I can promise you we'd have music for the 4th of July parade. Whether we put them on a trailer or whether we got them to actually walk down the street, there would be music in the parade.
well,
This is, I've been a musician all my life. Music was the big thing for me in high school. I marched with the Purple Answers. I've done music programs for over 45 years, and this makes a big difference in the lives of kids. And I know I've spoken with teachers in the Auburn School District that teach music, and they'd much rather have kids practicing during the summer. Parents would rather have them practicing than playing video games. And it's just a good thing for kids to do. So I just need your help to have one more site out of 4 that we've got scattered across the city to be able to provide these lessons for kids.
well, and the other thing I wanted to point out is we're not even sure if they're going to even have a 4th of July parade yet.
Well, we'll have one anyway. We'll get on a trailer and go down the street like
Okay,
random flags.
so, or we could do it at the end as
Yeah.
a, kind of like a concert.
It's
type
just
thing.
important because Auburn used to have a big marching band, when the drum and bugle corps was around in the 70s, I marched in it. It was a great source of pride for the community. And we're trying to revitalize that program, not just the drum corps, but different musical aspects for the kids. We're involved in a program now that does some competitions. And I know that music's important to everybody in the room, whatever your taste is. And I just want to make sure that we can continue to bolster the music program in the school. They used to be able to offer this. I don't know why they discontinued it. But I did speak to Mr. Pirozzolo, and he's in favor of doing it. And we would apply teachers, not only from the Auburn School District, but from our own organization as well.
Okay, so what they're asking for is for us to, 1, allow them to do it, and 2, waive the fee that we have. And, in our fee during the week was minimum anyways.
And we could provide you with insurance too. We have liability insurance, so we'd be able to provide you with that.
The second thing I wanted to point out too is we do have, besides the pavilion, we have drop down sides, so in case it
That's
rains,
fine.
you don't have to
That's
get.
fine. Yeah.
So any questions from the board?
So, just playing devil's advocate. I have no concern with it at all, but my concern would be, is there gonna be complaints from the people along the, that have adjoining properties?
Well, we're not
This
talking
is-
about group lessons. We're talking about single lessons. And it's at the most, by the time you get the kid sat down and you get ready to go, out of that half hour, you probably got 20 minutes. And
Right, but it's,
most of it, we can move away from buildings. We could use different areas of the lot every week.
I mean,
So it's not annoying the same people all the time. And that's why I understand what you're
and we
saying.
have to take that into consideration, just because sometimes we get complaints because the light's too bright.
Yeah, no, I
you know.
understand.
Yeah,
But there's a
I-
big, we got a big, good sized area out
Yeah.
here, so we should be able
If,
to.
if they had megaphones and they had a sound system, I would think it would be an issue, but individual instrument, I don't think it's that bad. And it's the time of day, it's where most people, are home and working, and it's,
Yeah, I
and
totally
if we do get complaints, we can address it.
Listen, I'm gonna vote for it, but remember you
Yeah,
said that.
Yeah, well, it's on tape.
And I might offer too, that it's probably far more annoying for the teachers starting an instrumental student than it is for any neighbor.
That's
Been
true.
there and done that.
The other thing I have to say is the shelter is rented some days
Okay.
already. So you would
Yeah.
really have to check week to
Week
week
to week we're part of the lot, we're in, that's fine.
and never on Wednesday because that's a farmer's market.
Well, we're gonna
Sometimes-
be here at the Booker T. Washington Center down by Casey Park and also up on the east side of town various days of the week. So we're gonna have to get every schedule together, then assess the number of students that are involved and then figure out where we're gonna be.
Yeah, just because it is booked already for
Yeah.
some days. So I hate to
Yeah.
have you say that
No,
and
that's
we're
fine.
here and someone's got a park.
Okay,
And at some point, I'd like to be able to open this up, I would, to members of the community that might have played an instrument in their former days that would like to get together and
I was a drum major in the junior corps,
Yep,
Purple Lantern.
well, good,
I
we'll
was
get
a
you up
drum
with the
major.
flag, there you go.
There you go, you're in.
There's so many kids. Go ahead.
Candy, I didn't recognize you. Penny.
Well, you're busting it tonight.
He's
So
mean.
where
He's
where
mean to
we're
me,
at
Mike.
today
He's mean
with
to me.
the Purple Lancers have been back doing bingo and such for a while. We have invested thousands into the school programs and we're very happy to do so and plan to continue to do so. Right now, we're fielding roughly 20 from Marcus Whitman to Pennsylvania. We have one coming out of PA, which is Auburn alumni, all the way up to New Hartford. We're making progress. We want to keep it growing. And like Andrea said, the youth is where it's at. These kids need a safe place. We are governed by Safe Sport.
That's another thing you would get as a list of all of our instructors.
Everybody's
They have to
background
take
check.
background checks. to do this.
Everybody has to be
All the questions.
certified.
Yep.
We're really wanting to bring this back to the community as a whole. In the area,
Gotta start
globally.
somewhere. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so anybody else got any questions for them? I think we pretty much got our minds made up. So what I will do, does anybody want to do, anybody, I don't think we gotta do a resolution, do you? Just anybody opposed to it?
I think it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
support it.
As soon as we get this all assembled, and I'm thinking it would probably be closer to the 1st of May, so we have a better idea of locations, days and times. I'll bring that back and then you can figure out if this works for you and what days and where. and whatever.
all right,
Work it out with Tammy.
so yeah, just talk to Tammy
I
and
don't mean to run, but I got to.
you have our blessings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
We have bingo tonight if anybody's interested.
I prefer Yahtzee.
Great, thank you.
Next thing under communications, we did get a letter from our highway superintendent, Robert Bruno. And to change the pay of a labor to a labor 2 position based on the
From two.
from a 2 to a 1 based on the jobs that he's been doing lately and will continue to do. So if someone would, after we get through the communications, I have an open, I didn't put it on the agenda, but if someone wants to propose approving that, when we get to the open business, then you can do so if you want.
Is this the time to talk about it, or do you want to talk about it at that time?
If someone makes a motion to,
Okay.
unless you want to make a motion now, you can do that. Does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
So is it second it?
Second.
Okay, well, is there a discussion?
So the only question I've got is this creating, is it creating a new position in the Manning document? Is it elevating a position? And if it's elevating a position, where does that money come from? Because we would have budgeted for the lower paying position.
Correct.
So where do we get the money?
It would be out of the reserve in the highway department.
Then we should have a resolution that says that we want to do this. This is how much it's going to cost and where the money's coming from. So I think that would have to get put off until next meeting, because I can't vote on something unless it says where the money's coming from.
Okay,
Right? I mean, I'm not necessarily opposed to it. I don't know why we have a guy doing a job that is beyond what we hired him to do. I think that this is another situation where we put the cart before the horse and we're reacting to us just not following the rules. We hire a guy and his duties are this, and this. That's what he's supposed to do until we, as a board, decide to create a new position that establishes a new job.
well, I take offense to the comment that that we're doing something illegal or something that's not right. But from what my understanding is, when we had a labor 1 position previously, he left, and and that person was doing skills that were higher than the person came on. But since then, we basically hired him to do menial stuff like in the summertime, like cutting grass, stuff like that.
I
But
remember.
now, because of his previous experiences, he's doing repairs for us, doing maintenance, doing that kind of stuff within the job description. So, he can't be an MEO. Bob felt that based on, the compliments that we got from his productivity and the stuff that he was doing, he's worth that. And I'm sure you agree with that,
Yeah, he probably is. I just think that this is one of those things where if you take if we take the deputy clerk's position and we just start letting that person do the supervisor's position and say, hey, you know what? We've been letting this person do a position that pays more money for a period of time because they're capable of doing it. Let's now codify that we're gonna give them more money. That's out of order. And by out of order, I don't mean illegal. I mean that we're doing it out of order. We're supposed to create the position first.
We should have the money in the budget because Casali, he quit after the first of the year.
And there might be a
No,
salary
no,
savings, which is why we have to
That
know.
was last year.
It was?
And when we budgeted this year, we budgeted at this.
Right, you're right.
Labor
You're
two
right.
position, so
You're
that,
right.
yeah.
You're right.
So the budget's for the labor two position. And, and as you will see next month, when the auditors complete their preliminary and final audit of our books for 2021, we are, because we had some individuals that didn't work all year and we didn't expend all our resources last year. We have, our expenses were lower than we anticipated, and our revenues were almost $500,000 higher than what we anticipated. So we're going to be financially, the money's there, and to give you an exact amount, how much this is going to cost, give me 15 minutes, I can find the information, put it together and send it out and do that. But, so,
Thanks to this gentleman, though, we don't have those complaints at the cemetery anymore.
oh, yeah,
And he's cutting around all the stones,
and it's,
he's
I
out
think,
there fixing
and
machines.
because of his background too, doing the small things like, maintenance doing preventive maintenance on
He
small
painted this-
equipment.
Painted in here.
Yeah. So I will, does anybody else have any comments or questions you wanted to, you agree with Fred? Do you want to go? I mean, it's up to you. You tell me what you want to do. Fred's got one
Let's call the
vote.
question. Call the question.
Okay, so the question right now is, correct me if I'm wrong, to increase Mike Volano's rate from labor 2 to labor 1, an increase from 2046 to 2603 per hour, effective after the vote. So be effective tomorrow. But they don't work, it's summer, not summer hours, so they do work tomorrow. So that's the question. So
Let's vote on it.
And you're taking whatever money
out of the reserve fund,
out of the reserve fund.
yes.
I would like to see it go through.
So
Let's vote on it.
do a roll call.
Councilman Cornelius,
No,
Councilman Gachardi. Councilman,
Yes.
Councilman Vitale,
Yes.
Supervisor Wagner.
You got Jeremy?
Yeah, I missed him. Jeremy.
Yes.
Because you never let me do it. I used to do it. You took over. Supervisor Wagner. Don't even shake your head.
I'll vote yes. I'll vote yes. Okay. So that was gonna be resolution, what number is that, Tammy?
Is gonna be 29 now,
29.
2229.
Okay. On the next
And
page.
so we'll get it written correctly with all the,
Now, last year we lost one employee, and was that filled, or do we choose not to, when Ed left?
No, this is, he replaced Ed at a
Okay.
lower
Oh,
rate,
okay.
at a lower
All right.
rate.
I was just wondering if
No.
this year we're gonna be hiring anybody else.
No.
Okay.
Unless you want to. Just,
I mean, if you want, you could just have somebody come in, and start working, and then we'll create the position next month.
okay, what's the pay? I might be interested. Well, you might be interested, you're retiring.
I am.
Yeah. They can only make 35,000 a year from a state entity,
That's right.
you know, so they'll knock you out of the ballpark. You can retire at the end of the year, they're here too. Next, oh, I did forget something up above under communications. I'm sorry. You allow me to go back?
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
under communications.
Oh,
Yeah, because we went ahead. Under communications, I did forward a letter out like an hour and a half, 2 hours ago.
it's a good letter.
Thank you. The city of Auburn last week, without telling anybody, decided that, they wanted to do this thing called a TMDL with the lake, which is a total maximum daily load. What that is it's a plan to reduce nutrients going into the lake that looks at point source pollution, which is like a sewage treatment plant. Anything that you can point to, that's what that's good for. It's got a lot of regulatory criteria with it. Takes like 20 years to do it. Cuba Lake's been doing theirs since 2003, and it's still not completed. We've been working on a thing called a 9E plan, which is a non-point source pollution plan to go after nutrients from mostly non-point sources, which could be septics, it could be tile drains, it could be farm manure, stuff like that, which is 99% of the nutrients going into our lake.
That would include the brooks, right?
Include all the brooks, stuff like that. So that 9E plan has been in the works for 5 years. We're like 2 or 3 months away from completing that plan. And this plan was proposed, recommended, and paid for by the state for us to go through the planning processes. I happen to chair the committee for the Owasco Lake Management Council that's overseeing the 9E plan, and we're also overseeing the rules and regulation change for Cayuga County and the watershed. So the city adopted this resolution trying to get this TMDL, which they've been trying since the beginning to go through, and they did this resolution. And then the Water Quality Management Board, which I also sit on, used to be the chair, but not the chair anymore, thank God, for 6 years. I voted for this proposal for the Management Council on Monday, but since they put this article on the front page of the paper, and this week I had a training session with Councilor Ginny Kent, who just took over for the city, I got thinking about what I was telling her, and I was pretty much contradicting myself from what I voted on Monday. So in the meantime, I decided that I was wrong on my vote Monday. The vote was 6-2. It wouldn't have changed anything. It would have been a 5-3 vote. But I wrote a letter to the editor today telling them that I made a mistake and that my opinion, and since I had told them I was going to put this on the agenda today for approval. And since I control the agenda until you guys can add anything you want, I decided not to put it on there. And if anybody wanted to add it to the agenda, you're welcome to do so. But I thought in the best interest of all of the residents in our watershed that completing the 9E plan, which is only a couple months away, getting the state to enforce the rules and regulations that we suggested, and getting those two things in place would be more important than starting something new and distracting from that process. So that's why I sent you that letter. I sent it to the newspaper. Probably there'll be something in the paper that I'm an outcast or something like that. And so I wanted to make everybody aware of what I did, why I did it, and so be it. Okay, any questions for me? Okay, the next thing on the discussion is the farmer's market, and to make it a little bit more lively and festive, the farmer's market this year, we've had a couple people that have requested to come in and serve Auburn.
Well, don't say the names yet.
Oh, yeah.
Couple
Okay.
big
Couple
breweries.
breweries around would like to come in and sell little pints for refreshments at the farmer's market.
So for on-premise consumption or
Yes.
to take, okay.
So we are right now going through the paperwork, verifying with the state liquor authority, the state farmers market authority, and checking the requirements that each people have to go through. And there's a checklist on the website that we're fully aware of. And that we wanted to get the board's consent to actually go forward before we actually do it. So, and at this point, I'd like to hear what you would like to discuss and if your concerns are for or against it.
The only thing I would bring up is, even though they would be licensed and insured, we need to have our own insurance since we're the host of the event
Yeah,
for the
we,
liquor
and
insurance. So,
we're already checking into that.
okay, because I wasn't sure. I know that municipalities getting that added isn't as easy as it used
So
to
we
be.
started to do this paperwork just to see if, how cumbersome it was, if it was even feasible. And it appears that it's not that cumbersome, it's
No.
not that feasible, and that, but before we said okay with the vendors, we wanted to make sure the board was fully aware of it ahead of time.
Mhm.
And that if you give us the blessing to do it, we will research it, report back next month on the legalities, the insurance and all that stuff. But I don't want to do it if you're going to shoot it down. So,
I don't,
Definitely need a permit, I'm pretty sure. of that.
oh yeah, we know that. Yeah.
well, as long
Other than that.
as we're following all the rules and we're covered financially, I don't have any opposition to it. I think that it should be clear or posted or something that you probably shouldn't be bringing your own beverages
Oh,
to
yeah,
the
no,
event.
That's for sure.
And although everybody's gonna be standing around smoking weed anyways, you can do that. So I don't know why it matters, but
Why not?
I don't see, as long as we're following the rules, then why not?
Yeah, I agree with that. As long as, if all the paperwork's in order, we have proper insurance, I'm not opposed to it.
So once we obviously, once Tammy figures out what the legalities are and what the criteria is, and make sure we notify our insurance carrier, make sure they're aware of it, they're okay with it, make sure that the individual people who want to come have the proper documentation and stuff, and the stuff that we have to do to post it. There's a place we got to post it. There's a place that there's some things that we have to follow. So, we will get the checklist, we will complete the checklist, and we will report back next month, whether it's a go or no go, but I didn't want to do it without your blessing. Tony, any concerns on your part, Tony?
Just, concerned about the fallout of, but I guess we could always reverse our decision if things don't work out as well as we thought.
Okay.
We do have a lot more food trucks signing on too, just so everybody knows. With everybody, it was so busy last year, everybody loved it. And
Yeah.
now they
It's
want-
always good to eat before you drink, so.
If we're done with that, you want to talk about the other letter,
That's next.
or do you want to do that?
That's next, yep.
Okay.
Okay, now we're on to old business. Old business, we received a letter from Councilman Cornelius today in regards to ethics, an ethics board. And since I got the letter, I did do some research on the town of Owasco's code.
Yeah.
And the ethics and what we need to do and what we didn't do. So we got to address that as well.
Like what?
When we appointed the board last year, we appointed it to the December 31st.
Oh, there was an expiration?
Yes, and there is no board.
It doesn't, it doesn't actually say, well, if there's an expiration in the thing, then.
When we appointed it I don't know why it wasn't on the reorganizational minutes last month, but last January's minutes, when we authorized the ethics board, it said term, everything had a term at expiration of 1 year, so it expired at the end
Because
of,
it's not required to have an expiration.
but it was.
I get it, I get it.
It was on there.
Yep.
So the ethics board, so I put on there to establish an ethics board, so we need to go through the motions of, if we're going to, we have to do it, because it's a
It's a
state.
law.
It's a state requirement.
Yeah.
So we didn't, it was on last year's reorganizational minutes. Usually we just copy and paste and bring it over. Something happened. I don't know what happened. It didn't make it. So we need to.
So the way that our code reads, it has to be I believe at least 3 people, one person being a member or officer of the organization, no more than one person, 2 people being residents of the town. I can tell you when yeah, I've got it. I can tell you when I was charged with establishing or recruiting people for this ethics board over a year ago. It may surprise you to know that there isn't a lot of people who are really jumping up and down to help out with regard to that. I did find people who were willing to serve on the board. I specifically looked for, even though this shouldn't be a partisan thing, I specifically looked for people from both major political parties. We last year appointed myself, one Republican and one Democrat to the board for purposes of it being fair. And I can't think of any good reason why we don't continue that existing board like we do with most appointments.
We should find out if those residents are still.
Already
interested.
talked to them.
Oh, you do.
Okay, and the one thing I looked at last year, I couldn't find, you asked them, but I don't think the board ever appointed them.
We did.
We did?
Yeah, we did. I can tell you
I didn't.
I can tell you the date because,
I believe, I didn't.
yeah, I
look.
can tell you the
didn't
date. We went back. We did, it was Luke Carnicelli, Rachel Chiz and myself.
look. Okay, all right, so any other discussion?
So I would make a motion, just like if we were at the organizational meeting, that we continue the appointment of the existing ethics board. And there doesn't need to be an expiration on that. It serves at the pleasure of the board. You can terminate it at any time or.
Any other council people interested in,
Yeah, not opposed to doing it either, so.
you're not?
Well, we need to get a board, so we have a motion, we have it, so the motion is to approve we need to either approve or to vote down the current board as is. That's a motion on the table, or we can amend that motion, so, right, I think, so.
No second yet, right?
There's no
I
second.
thought Mike said,
I apologize.
Yeah.
No.
Mike, you seconded
I
it.
didn't hear it.
yeah, Mike seconded, so Fred made the motion, Mike seconded. So the motion is on the table to keep, well, before we vote, is there anybody else that would be interested? You said you might be interested, or you are interested?
Yeah,
He said
I'm
he was
interested in that, yeah.
Okay. So we got 2 board members that are interested in the position, so let's take the first resolution first. So any discussion on the first resolution? Okay, let's do a roll call.
Councilman Cornelius,
Yes.
Councilman Gachardi,
No,
Councilman Vitale,
No,
Councilman Bavone,
No,
Supervisor Wagner.
No. We got.
Wait a second, did that pass? Did
No,
that pass?
no,
Okay,
no.
okay.
So now is there a motion to nominate Jeremy with do you want the same, those 2 people, or do you want to advertise? What do you want to do?
well, I think the chairman should be able to pick his own, shouldn't he?
No, it starts with the pleasure of the board. So
It's-
the board makes.
I
the
would recommend the board approve the public. If it's up to me, I'd rather a group decision be made on the civilians that are on the board.
All right, so I don't know I know Rachel, kind of. I never met her, talked to her, what, I don't,
I know, yeah, same, yeah.
you know, the other.
I've met her, I don't know who.
Look,
Luke is teacher at Moravia, I think, and he's
Principal
Molina,
of Southern Cuba. He's the
Or
principal of Southern Cuba.
principal Southern, he's a smart guy. You know, he's Molina's son, Molina Carnicelli's son, which is exactly why I sought him out, because if he's cut from the same cloth, he's not going to be somebody who just goes with the flow.
All right, so do you want to, does the board want those two people? Do you want to advertise it first and then have at least open it up to everybody? Or do you want to, what you have suggested in the past, that if we have an opening, we open up to everybody?
Yeah, I've suggested that in the
Yeah.
past. so
Well, we
that
haven't had any
it's-
openings.
No, we have had openings and we appoint the same people over and over again. And it's interesting that you choose to listen to me in this particular situation. That's odd. But I have full confidence in Mr. Vavone to lead this group down the proper path. I don't have any concern about that at all. I'm happy to provide the contact information.
Yeah,
and
no, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that open it, and if we get a list of candidates, we can review it, and if two
Well,
are
we
interested.
need to act quickly. So I would say do you want to do a special meeting in 2 weeks? We can open it up on the website and we'll advertise it in 2 weeks, and then we'll have them submit their name and a quick bio, why they want to do it. And then it may be just two people.
If it is, it is, but
I
I
can't
think
even
as far as an
imagine.
ethics board go, I don't want to come back with, these are my two people. It's not really an ethics board, so
You're
I
right.
think.
You're totally right. So if we advertise,
Do you want to have a special meeting before we're getting ahead of ourselves? So I would, if we put one person on the board right now, so we establish the board, and then we fill those two positions either in 2 weeks or next month.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be, it's an officer of the organization. It can be one of us. It could be Tammy. It could be anybody. It doesn't have to be a board member, but I'm happy with that. I just point that out.
I was gonna crack a joke, but I'm not going
Huh?
to. No,
On paper, Tammy's a Democrat. She could be
Oh,
the,
Jesus.
we don't talk,
on
we
paper.
don't talk that language here.
no,
Everybody's
let's
evil.
not get into that.
Yeah. All right, so from what I understand is that on the motion on the floor is to appoint Jeremy to the ethics board and to advertise advertise for next month's meeting and then appoint the two members at next month's meeting.
At next month's meeting.
Yeah,
So there's a question on the floor
Yeah.
as to whether or not this is ethically appropriate. So are we gonna put off paying this until next meeting? This $3,000 bill?
That's a different topic.
It's not a different topic. It's
It is.
absolutely not a different
I
topic.
disagree with that. I disagree.
That's not surprising to me.
Yeah, okay. So let's not make it personal.
It's not personal.
So you're gonna go with the next meeting or in 2 weeks?
It's up to you guys.
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yep.
Okay.
We'll call a special meeting. We'll call a special meeting in 2
You're gonna let
weeks.
us know what day?
We have to advertise it, so we'll get it out.
Yeah,
and
publicly post it and meet at the same
And then
time here. and
Tam, you're to put the thing on there. So
You
that's,
should know
so
in 2
that's
weeks
the,
if any new interest or current
Yep.
interest stays the same, so.
Yep.
The 24th, because I'll have to put it in the paper tomorrow. Is that what you want, Thursday, the 24th? You want the same time? You want-
sure. I got anything going on.
That's the President's Week. Anybody going away?
We don't have your money.
You are.
You taking us-
Vacationing in Auburn.
You taking
Yeah,
us to
okay,
Disney?
well.
You taking us to Disney?
Yeah.
Fred's got grandkids, will go with you.
He talked about the fact that no one wants to go with him anymore. I'll go with him.
Yeah.
You're desperate.
So is that when you want, are you gonna look at your
Yeah,
calendar?
yeah,
Just check,
I
just
think
check,
I'm
okay. The paper's getting more and more difficult to get things published. They're
Yeah,
really
okay, yeah, I'm
putting it
okay.
out.
I'm okay.
Yeah, they're
All right,
tough.
so that's the
Why?
motion. You want to do a roll call,
I
please?
don't know what's going on. Okay, hold on 1 minute. Councilman Cornelius,
Absolutely.
Councilman Gachardi,
Yes.
Councilman Vitale,
Yes.
Councilman Pavone,
Abstain.
Supervisor Wagner.
Yes. Okay. So,
So we didn't actually address the communication.
okay, go ahead.
So just to be clear, what we're talking about here is one of the requirements to invoke the review of the ethics board is a written request from one of the board members. That's what has to happen. So I wrote a request, and I have been duly corrected as to the makeup of the board, because apparently we don't have one right now. But the letter, which everybody should have got a copy of, except I don't think I copied Mr. Galbato. It's very brief. I'd like this letter to serve as a required written notification to the town requesting that the town ethics board be convened to address a situation which occurred recently at 69 Melrose Road. Work was privately done at that location on a for-profit basis by the town highway supervisor. The town employee or employees received compensation, and then the town was billed by the resident for the services provided. I had identified myself as the chair of the ethics board, but that's incorrect. I said I would let the board know when the meetings will take place, but that would be Jeremy's function, assuming that we get a board in place. I would also like to be provided, and this is still a request, I would also like to be provided all pertinent documentation, including any emails to or from any town email regarding this situation. If we need specific keywords to search for, I can provide those to whoever maintains our email servers. And this should also serve as notification that the ethics board will also address a situation regarding a recent billing and payment to a volunteer contractor. I put volunteer in quotes. I would also request any documents regarding that situation, including any emails to or from town emails, which include the name Richard or Rich Knoll. These situations will be addressed or should be addressed separately. Advisory opinions, the ethics board issues advisory opinions after they've met and gathered documents, taken testimony. Advisory opinions from the board will be issued at the conclusion of the ethics board's investigation. I thank the town in advance for their cooperation in these matters. The town needs to be conducting its business with the utmost professionalism and transparency, and this is key to doing that. So those are the two issues that I'd like the ethics board to address. And separate from that, and I've been told in the past that as a board member, I don't need to file a FOIL request, but I am looking for those documents and copies of any of those emails to or from any of the town emails that I will then provide to the ethics board as part of my complaint.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the rest of the board? In my opinion, at the event that took place where a homeowner hired a private contractor on their own time to do on their own property that doesn't belong to the town, separate work, and I don't see how the town can get themselves involved with that happening. When the individual contractors discovered that there was a problem with a contractor that we hired 4 years ago to put in a water line, never hooked up never damaged and cut through a lateral, which is owned by the homeowner. we are not paying the contractor, we're paying the homeowner. So the homeowner has requested this, not the contractors. From what I've been understood, the contractor has been paid by the homeowner. And he is seeking reimbursement because at no fault to him, the general contractor, if anything, this board is liable for, because we are responsible for them to do quality work. And we didn't know about it until after he had a flooded basement, which is a health emergency, and they hired, and the homeowner actually thought it was his responsibility to do the work. That's why he paid him to do it. So the work that he is seeking reimbursement for is the share of the lateral that is his responsibility, not ours. But because of the workmanship that this previous contractor did, then they cut through it. They had to go back into the yard to get the right pitch in order to have a gravity fed system, into the sewer system. So, that's why I think it's not a conflict of interest. It's not an ethics situation. And I think it's, that's like you're entitled to yours.
Yeah,
I just-
so we haven't discussed why it's an ethics issue. You just opened that door, so I think that I should have the right to say why it is. The simple fact is, without using any names or names of employees or names of other people, presenting this exact situation to a number of other elected officials in other towns and in other levels of government, there is not one person who doesn't see this as a blatant violation of ethics. Blatant. Because should not the right thing to do be, oh my God, I've identified, I am an elected representative of the town, and I've identified something that the town is obviously responsible for. Shouldn't I notify the town and then have the town fix it?
It's exactly what they did.
No,
Bob, didn't the town, once you notified the situation, didn't you call in the crew to come in and fix the remedy? But these people are, the homeowner was billed for work prior to that, and that it's a separate situation. So we have records and documentation of payroll, because I think it was on a Friday night.
Saturday and Sunday, I think.
So that's exactly what happened. So I'm
what's the
glad we agree.
$3,000?
Huh? We are, but the homeowner says at no fault to him, the contractor did not hook up the thing. Therefore, I'm paying this guy to do it, but it wasn't my fault to begin with. So I already paid these guys to do this work. But when that was
second.
notified,
That's not what I was told initially, and that's not what was in the email. What was in the email was I hired a private contractor to put in a new water line from here to there. That's what was in the email, to put in a new water line. And in digging that up, the contractor noticed, oh my God, there's a problem with the sewer line. And with the sewer line, then now, instead of stopping and saying, this is the town's problem, the town should handle it with town employees on town time.
now from the homeowner telling me what the situation was, I don't know I can't recall without looking at the
What you
letter.
put in your email?
Well, I can't remember what I put in my email, but
That's what you put in your email.
But what was going on was they were hired because he had a sewer backup. And why they had the hole open, they said, you've got galvanized water line, it's shot, you really should, and everything else in the house is new, you really should put in a new water line because his pressure in the house is low. So he agreed to do the water line after the ditch was already open for the sewer line. So therefore, that's why exactly what you said is not an ethics violation, because that's exactly what they did.
I guess the board will find that to be the
Wasn't
case.
this guy out of town most of the time, so he never noticed this problem? Isn't that how it started? I mean, they were going into the ground.
Single guy who travels to Florida.
Right, so he wasn't here enough to,
Yeah, his amount of usage on that sewer line was minimal.
right,
When we hit the P stone for where the water line went.
Right.
It looked like blacktop because.
The water line,
It was
the
draining.
main water line, not the lateral water line.
The main water line was laying over the sewer. He broke the sewer. This guy said he's had problems for 3 years. I said, why don't you contact the town? You got 3 years to go back against this contractor.
I called the contractor, like I said I would do that. And the contractor does not feel it's his responsibility because of marking out in every claim. He's trying to make a living and blah, blah, blah. So I'm gonna ask Rick to look into our legal responsibilities to go after the contractor who put the main water line in so that, we can go after him. So the purpose of putting this in the audit and payment of claims today was to reimburse the homeowner for an expense at no fault of him to get him held whole, like the county does for us on county taxes. And then we go after the contractor and see where it falls there. But if I would agree, but if this effect right here is once they dug from the house out to the lateral, and the lateral is the last thing that's done. Once that happened, we called in the town crew to take care of the rest of the stuff. And the homeowner was billed and for the work that
And
was
just-
done on his own personal property, not on the right of way, which where the main water line, main sewer line is.
And just for my own knowledge, because I don't know this to be the case, I just make the assumption.
Yeah.
But the town crew and the private contractor crew, same exact crew, right?
With a couple extra people, the
Okay.
town crew, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I have full confidence in the ethics board to vindicate our employee then.
If that's the truth. So, okay, but I think, so Rick, correct me if I'm wrong, so you can convene and they can determine it's not a ethics, or if you don't feel it's, so how does that?
11-18B of our town of Owasco ethics code. The Board of Ethics will render advisory opinions to the office of the town of Owasco. And this code, such advisory opinions must be rendered pursuant to the written request of any such
Okay.
officer or employee under such.
We have a
rules and
request,
regulations.
so we have a request, we're obligated to go
Yeah.
forward, so we'll let them do it, okay. And then we should have, and then we should probably have the result for next month's meeting.
But it's just advisory.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can ignore it.
Well, we would-
Of course we wouldn't. That's silly.
Okay,
Moving on.
okay.
Oh, wait a second. Old business, right? We're in old business right now?
Yep.
We got some advice from our lawyer on the contractor situation since last time. Remember, I asked for advice from our attorney regarding the volunteer contractor situation.
Yep.
And we got advice from our lawyer, and it's not on the agenda.
Oh, I had forgotten, okay,
So the advice was that we shouldn't use anybody in that capacity unless they go through this process of having insurance, of using their own equipment, of doing all that stuff. So my question is, are we going to follow the advice of our attorney? Or are we just letting people, bill us a year later?
well, I don't think we should let those a year later, but I will, I think we treat everybody equally. So what we do for other vendors, we should do for this individual. So I will policy, we'll follow the same policy that we do for everybody else, like we do for
Well, I think-
IT, like we do for other
I
things.
think that the advice was that's what we should be doing for all of our contracts.
Alright.
So I guess my question is, can we, seeing as how we're meeting again in 2 weeks anyways,
Okay, yep,
can we get an opinion or put it on the agenda to either follow the advice of our attorney or ignore the advice of our attorney?
okay.
Understands that he does get some responsibility. But I believe that the majority responsibility to protect and journey is yours, because you're our parents, and you need to do that.
Anyway,
I mean,
Well,
Not-
he'll be in Disney with that, won't you?
Not Rick's opinion, but
Yeah,
we follow other lawyers'
Yeah,
opinions,
yeah.
just not
Did they
Rick's.
change it?
just the real one.
Maybe
Okay.
They change.
All right, let's, anything else for, old business? Anything new business?
I'm happy with the decision. I do feel as if he was
Uh,
more.
Number 28, authorize the town supervisor to sign a right-of-way for a water easement for Jeffrey Appleby. Can I get a
Move.
motion for discussion?
Second,
This is just for the legal easement, not the approval of the project, right?
Correct.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, so we got to get the approval in order to go on the property, in order to put the thing in. In talking with Mr. Carter, we're gonna, organize and get the parts
If
and
you,
get the
yeah, if
stuff
you
in.
could share with me what the plan is, what the project is.
Yeah, because Jeremy, as a fire chief, would like to know if we can possibly put another fire.
Another hydrant somewhere?
there,
There's no
and
hydrant in that area.
Yeah.
Oh,
What the thing is, so.
Just so I
let's-
know what the
The
water main
easement,
size is.
the easement does allow for, water appurtenances, which includes hydrant, which is a hydrant.
good.
Includes hydrants, yeah.
So if it's permissible, so we gotta see
Yeah.
what, I don't know what.
Yeah, I
the
understand.
size
It
of the
depends on
pipe-
what's being built, so.
Yeah, and where, basically it was just extending from where it is now
Over to First Ave,
over to
which
First Ave, right
was what's
through
up
on
First
the
Ave.
west
so.
side of his house.
Yeah.
So he can tie a new lateral in from,
Kind of along the creek
Westerly
there.
15 feet.
on this side, the west side, that's the
This
east
side.
side, yeah.
is
Yeah.
Carter gonna put this in or are you gonna
Well,
put it out?
No, we're gonna try to do it in-house, try to
Okay.
save some money. And well,
No,
he'll
that's
probably use
fine.
Crowley to help me do it, as we always
That's
does,
fine.
do it that way.
The only thing that I have on that is two things. One, this resident I know came here today to sign the stuff, had a lot to say while they were here. I did get a phone call regarding this project, and there is the resident is concerned that they've been paying for water that is not up to par for a long period of time, and they'd like some consideration on that. And my suggestion, I guess, would be to have them put together what they think they're entitled to, present it to the board, and then the board can make an informed decision about that. That was my
That's
That's
not
good.
new. This happens all the time. It happens all the time. If the things aren't looped, if you're the last one on the street, it happens all the time.
yeah.
I'm the last guy on my road.
Yeah, well, we had, there's this one guy on Dickman, he was one of the last ones on his road before they looped his property. He had a filter, he had one kidney, and he was put this filter in, he was spending $30 a month on the filters to keep the.
I think they said something about having put some
Yeah,
kind of
so
filter
we
in,
never-
and it's still not,
Yeah.
whatever.
But,
So-
yeah,
I mean, that we can't act on something that's not in front of us.
Yep.
So
Yep.
if they believe that they're entitled to some kind of compensation, that they should put it in writing, send it to us, and then we
That's
evaluate
the
it.
first step in that, yeah.
okay.
Are my whereas correct?
Yep.
Actually?
Yeah.
That Matt Zarbo, our engineer recommended this looping.
Yeah, you're
From
looping
first to
the
second or
cure
second.
problem,
Okay.
I think your whereas are beautiful.
but the hydrant is something important.
The hydrant would be an important factor that probably didn't think of at the time, because it,
Well, it depends on what size line's being put in there and what feed you have already. So
You know
without
what
looking
size
at
line?
what's
I
proposed,
think
they
it's small, I don't
we
think
need
it's.
to know.
So
So
we don't think
If
so?
we put a hydrant on the first Ave side, because there's always a chance somebody's gonna try and burn my house down. I want that.
you got one right across the street. I already know where yours is.
That would take too long. I think nuke is a better word.
Oh
for
my
it.
God. Oh my God.
That's fun.
All right.
All right, so we did 29. So do we have any budget modifications?
Well, you didn't vote.
Huh?
You didn't vote. on-
Oh.
Okay, yep. So all those in favor of the easement?
I
Anybody opposed? We did 29. That was the, what was 29? I can't remember now.
So 29, we turned into the
That's it,
Volano
Michael, I was
Yeah,
resolution.
just-
yeah,
And then 30, we turned into,
Ethics board.
yeah.
Okay,
So now, there were no budget mods. Darcel didn't send them. She said
okay,
no, she
so there's
didn't
no
have them.
budget modifications. Okay.
So now you're just at audit.
Audit.
We can't pass to the auditors complete last year's to.
Close.
Close the books out.
Yep. Okay, and then I think everybody got an email from Darcel telling you that she's hoping to get it done by the end of for the March meeting, so it all depends on the auditors. Okay, next thing is the audit and payment of claims. So can I get a motion for discussion?
Whatever,
So who do we got?
Fred, then Mike.
guess.
Discussion,
Could we pull voucher 137 and vote on it separately?
absolutely. So we're pulling one, whatever it is.
137, you said?
Okay, so let's do a vote on the remaining vouchers. Any other questions on the vouchers? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. We have a motion on the floor to poll voucher number, we did
137.
137. So can I get a motion?
Moved.
Second, discussion.
Yeah, this is just for point of clarification. This is the $3,000 payment to the resident that we were just talking about.
Okay, so does anybody, the motion is to pull it. Does anybody want to?
Well, the motion's I just wanted to vote on it separately.
So the
So,
motion is to approve it. So I guess
Yeah.
motion to approve
right.
that voucher individually. So we have a motion, we have a second discussion. Discussion, okay, call the roll, please.
Councilman Cornelius,
No,
Councilman Gachardi,
Yes.
Councilman Vavone,
Yes, but I do believe we need to pursue with our insurance in regards to that.
Yeah.
As far as reimbursement from them.
Well, I think legal is going to
Okay,
go after the
He's
contract.
gonna have to contract.
yes.
Councilman Vitale.
Yes,
Supervisor Wagner.
Yes. Do we have anything for executive session?
nothing,
Any updates?
we can, without having to go into executive session, I can tell that we're moving along with contract negotiations.
Okay, great.
okay,
Okay, motion to adjourn.
so move.
Second,
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Yes, you want to say?
Sayonara.
Those who